Good morning, one and all. This is the Alta Slobadka number 9, and Moedim L'Simcha. We've been looking at this absolutely amazing, and I think everybody will agree by this point, unique person. Could be we've never heard of a God like him. And let's do a quick review before going forward with some of the salient main things we've brought out about him. He was, arguably the greatest Ma'amid of Talmidim, of standard of Talmidim, Amidu Talmidim Harbe, in modern times, in Gedolim. And there was just so many Gedolim, a staggering amount, which came from him. The Chavetz Chaim once commented about Talmidim that had been in Radin that weren't so much Sliach, and they went to Slobadka and they turned into whole different people. And the Chavetz Chaim said something along the lines like, we write Sfarim and he makes people. As we said, different Gedolim had different kochos and different areas of focus and expertise and super talents, etc. That would be a great example of that. The Chavetz Chaim's Anivus, etc. So, and it wasn't just the Gedolim. I just read an article by Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky, which some of maybe the people there saw, and he said, he was asked, Reb Shmuel was a Talmud of Aaron Kotler. Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky Agam was just his father, was a big Slobadka Talmud, and he learned by Aaron Kotler, who was the main Slobadka Talmud, and he was asked in the article, did you speak to Reb Aaron about the way Rosh Yeshiva deal with a lot of personal issues? He said, no, that Reb Aaron wasn't for that. But he said, but there was an old Slobadka Talmud, I don't remember his name, but not a well-known person, that Bachram in Lakewood, Avreichim in Lakewood, that was where you went to. So besides the big names that we know about, there were tens and hundreds of other less well-known, tremendous B'nai Torah and Magi Deshir and Marbitei Torah and Balabatim that came out of Slobadka. Okay, so we said we're going to focus on educational methods and how he was matzliach, to just get a scratch the surface. So we mentioned 5 things so far. Number 1, we said the background of everything, I think, was his enormous hatava, right? His incredible concern and care, and how focused he was on chesed to every person, and particularly to B'nai Torah, particularly Talmidim. He would say good morning to a house that he went by, that the people in the house should have a good morning. He walked around for hours with someone who wouldn't give any money to the yeshiva, just that he should be somebody who knows that Torah is something to give to. Incredible hatava. We mentioned his unusual tznius, that for 50 years there was nothing in Slobadka that bore his name. And when the Talmidim would come in after Mishmar to get his wife's the milk and the cake, etc., he would jump into the bed. They should know that he was learning. And we said that really was a educational method, because although he could be extremely tough also, but there were many times when he didn't come across at all in the Rebbe mode, and he kind of spoke to them like friends. This is how we do it in Slobodka, etc. And that was an amazing way to get messages into another person. And sometimes we as mechanchim and parents, etc., being too frontal. If we would think of other ways and grab those other opportunities, we'd be more effective in our own chinuch realities. We said that he understood the times, that even though Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, as anybody opens Or Yisrael realizes, put a tremendous emphasis in Dagish on Avodah Meira, right? Already the next generation, and Alter for sure, put much more of an emphasis on Tuvas Avore and Avos Yisrael, Avos Hashem, etc., all that. So that was another obvious source of his success, the fact that he recognized the time, saw what was needed, and went with that. We said, of course, that he had an incredible, deep analysis of the Talmidim, of the people he was dealing with. My guess is, I think it's probably fair to say, he was also a natural. Like, what took him above really other Gedolim and other Mechanchim in this? I think he obviously had some God-given talent. The Baruch Shalom is Shosel Tzadikim, Chazal say, and plants Tzadikim in every generation for different reasons. Kadosh Baruch was Shosel, this Tzadik, in our times, in these times, these difficult times, to create all the Gedolim, to create all the yeshivas, to create all Matar in American Eretz Yisrael. So the Rebbe Shalom gave him special kochos. That's my personal sense. But besides that, for sure, it came from his tremendous work on himself, being a real Musarnik, and that's what Musar is all about, self-awareness and knowing yourself and knowing your kochos, etc. And of course, all of his Torah and working with Chazal and understanding things, etc. So he had a tremendous, my sense was he was a tremendous natural. He certainly worked on himself to the nth degree, to know himself, to understand himself. When you understand yourself well and know what moves you, you can understand others well. And besides that, he obviously called a great deal from Mishlei, from the Bali Musa, the Masorah of Rabbi Yisrael, etc., and all the Chazals. Also, that another point which really we didn't speak out exactly, but which came out from everything he said, was he was a very active. He was very active. He was very timid. Sometimes mechanchim and parents are too passive. We don't go for the gold. We don't go after things, so to speak. And he was very, 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 very active as a mechanech. He knew when to be tough and when not to be tough. It wasn't laissez-faire. He was always on. He was always on. He was always moving things. Always thinking how to move a Talmud and how to get to where he wanted to get to. So that was just. I thought we would do that and go forward, but maybe that's what we'll do just for this number 9, just to give a quick review of everything we've discussed, as we just now, and again, and then we mentioned how he is very often could be very, 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 very nice to Talmidim. It was all the base of everything was chesed, but he could be extremely tough when needed to be. I just heard a Maisa that he was perhaps with Rav Hutner when Rav Hutner was younger. When it was such an amazing Talmud, such an amazing Bona Torah himself, who produced so many great Talmidei Chachamim. But they say that the Alter once, when we was speaking to Rav Hutner, turned down the lamp. He says, "I don't want to be mistaken with Russia." He knew how to be very, very strong, but he was very active. He was so to speak taking his shots. And we can't do it the way the Alta did because we don't know people like he did, but we also have to be active. So those are a bunch of the main things we've seen so far. And Bez Hashem, next week we're going to go forward number 10. We'll go back to some more specific things.